What's up, friends and family? We got some crypto trades we're going to start looking at today. We're getting moving on getting those trading sessions set up for all of you that are signed up through CoinW. But we got a little bit of chop still lining in today, but we got some really cool things we got to look at, and we got some wonderful signals that are starting to brew. And I could not be more excited about some of the other news that we have to cover today about the bullishness of what is coming and those that are stacking in. So let's go ahead and get this going, everybody. Let's feel grateful today. Let's find gratitude in our head and our hearts. Let's look at these charts through the lens of prosperity, not through trying to make it happen, because that's when you start acting emotionally. We're about to dive into this. Everybody, if you're ready to get going, drop a 1 in chat. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Let's get into it. Let's see those ones. Let's go. Bitcoin, crypto, altcoins, money, that's why we are here. But let's be honest, we want to change our lives. We want to at least improve our lives and improve the resources that we have available so that we can affect the people around us in a more positive way. Now, we got to talk about what's going on in this market, because we're seeing a little bit of chop to the upside and downside, but we are still within this range that we see right here. We are going to be talking a little bit more specifically today, not just doing TA, not just going through the news articles, but we're going to be talking about some trade setups. We're going to be talking about some targets. We're going to be really getting into this today. So if you're ready for this, everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. My name is Kellam. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. We got to talk about some things, because this market is chopping some people out while smart money is here, just absolutely layering in. Now, with that being said, let's consider what we're looking at here. When we look at the data shows we're still sitting here above right about just under $2.1 trillion. Bitcoin is still hovering above that 1.1 trillion. Ethereum still over 300 billion, up right here about 318 BNB. We see it down the list. If we come here and go to the 24-hour singularity, actually, let's take that off the list, because that's going to be part of Fetch now. But let's actually go to watch list here. Boom, watch list. We got ORNJ up 13%, OrdiSwap up 11%, Aave up 8%, Phantom 7%, Aether, one of those picks I gave you in the BitLab portfolio updates I do in the BitLab Academy Discord, Compound up 4.6, Codex up 4.6, Centrifuge up about 3%. We are seeing some things to the downside, though. Mint Layer down, Ordi down, OPSEC down, Cosmos. If we look at just the bigger players, Cosmos down almost 3%. But what are we doing about taking advantage of the volatility? Because this market is about to run away from us. We've been looking at this for some time. If we look at it on the broader picture here, we are still within this zone. We are still hovering within the previous all-time high range, just chopping in here. I'm actually fighting to get back up above it with this recent washout. We've had the bulls bring it back up in too, but I want you to notice something. We're still under this 50% mark here, this halfway point of this trend channel right here. We're still on the bearish side of this. Does this mean it's over? Does this mean we give up? No. Let's look at, one, what our long-term time horizon is, but two, if we do want to take advantage of some of the price action and the volatility that makes this a trader's market, then we need to make sure that we look at it in two different lenses. One, our long-term trading our long-term HODL portfolio. And then if we do have something segmented off to the side that we are trading, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I'm going to show you exactly how I've made money in this market, a lot of money, but also help you prevent losing a hell of a lot of money, because I have lost a hell of a lot of money too early on. And I want to make sure that you guys are set up to absolutely dominate here. So with that being said, how's everybody doing? How you feeling? We got 28 people in here. We got the poll in there. Interact with that poll. Let me know. Are you shaving chickens? Have you hit the like button? Are your notifications turned on? Are you doing it now? Because when we're looking at everything going on, we are setting up for one of the brightest moments in history for those that are prepared. Now, we want to take that approach of having long-term capital, long-term assets, especially within the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the altcoin market. But we also want I know all of us are here to expand on what we have in our portfolios. So now is time. We've got, almost 6 months of price action going sideways, setting up for that next massive leg up, but there's still volatility to take advantage of now that we can trade and make money on. Now, we're going to be talking about that here in just a few minutes, but before we get into that, let's talk about some of these things. Can you imagine if this were pushed through by either of the presidential contenders? U.S. Bitcoin tax-free zone would make U.S. the leader of the global digital economy, says policy group USA BTC. Tax-free transactions and no capital gains. This would be something that would be an absolute game changer, even if it was proposed on a national/international stage. This would start a race nationally and then therefore internationally about creating these tax-free zones to bolster this digital economy. This is something I can get behind 1,000 million%. If you like the sound of this type of policy, throw a 1 in chat. We've got about 40 people in here. We'll have a couple hundred in here in a second. I should see 41s in chat right now because this would be astronomically awesome. Do you see $30 near or more by 2025, says Vatican Life? You know what? Let's take a look at that. We will be diving into near here in a little bit. We'll be doing some TA. We're going to be looking for the setups, and we're going to be looking at targets for those of you that are out there trading. Now, when we go a little bit, let's go move on, I should say. Just in, Goldman Sachs' latest 13F filing discloses owning over $200 million of the Bitcoin spot ETF. The iShares Bitcoin Trust, right there. Man, BlackRock, $79 million of Fidelity, $35 million of Grayscale, $56 million of Invesco, $8.3 million of Bitwise, all Bitcoin spot ETFs. Then we see Wisdom Tree Bitcoin. Then we also see 21 shares. Then we also see, $418 million. This is one of the largest banks, one of the most influential banks, especially in the U.S. This is the type of thing you want to see when you're wondering, are the fundamentals there for absolute rippage to the upsidage? Yes. When you see the data we're looking at right now, considering the fact that central banks are literally getting Bitcoin exposure. What a time to be alive, says Quentin. Norwegian central banks bought over 1.1 million shares of MicroStrategy. That's not Bitcoin, right? MicroStrategy is essentially a traditional asset proxy to get Bitcoin exposure through this traditional asset. In some ways, it's a leveraged Bitcoin position because MicroStrategy continues to buy more Bitcoin. So when you see Norwegian central bank buying this much exposure to a Bitcoin proxy, they are getting Bitcoin exposure through this traditional asset. Swiss central bank bought 466,000 shares of MicroStrategy. Exposure to Bitcoin. This is the type of thing that we'd like to see. And when we zoom in on this, you see Charles Schwab also, Price T. Rowe Associates, IMC Chicago, Capital World Investor, Citadel Advisors. You know, Citadel is King Griffin, one of the biggest powerhouses in finance in not only the U.S., but in the world. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of New York, Mellon Group. We're seeing incredible, interesting investment, not just in BlackRock spot ETF or Fidelity or Bitcoin itself on the Bitcoin network, but getting these proxy investments that are getting them a wider array of investments within the crypto ecosystem. This is incredibly bullish. Now, remember, when we're stepping into this future, when we're stepping in to everything we're doing, do not lose sight of what's at risk. Do not lose sight at what is to come. Just remember, this channel, our channel partners, powered by Arculus. Make sure you're protecting your capital. Make sure you're protecting your future with the best crypto cold storage solution out there. Head over to getarculus.com. Use code LAB10 for 10% off. Again, that's getarculus.com. Lab10 for 10% off. Not only are you protecting your future, protecting your crypto, you're also helping support this channel by letting Arculus know that you are seeing this and going and picking up, making sure you're protecting your capital. Again, that's getarculus.com, Lab10. Now, again, remember, This is not a nascent, this is not a nothing space. We are over $2 trillion. This is a powerhouse of an ecosystem that's just getting started. And even if you looked just at Bitcoin itself, you can see that Bitcoin is over 1.1, almost $1.2 trillion. And the most exciting part of this bull market has not even started. That's where we break out of this consolidation range that we've been in now for about 115 days, 114 days post halving. When, remember, we were consolidating before that, starting around March 13th. Now, considering that, considering what's to come, considering nation states are stacking in, considering the fact that banks, central banks are stacking in, considering the fact that we've seen an astronomically overwhelming appetite from large corporations and institutions with the amount of buying we've seen in these, just BlackRock and Fidelity alone, tens of billions of dollars stacking into this, breaking the record of any asset in the history. I'm not talking crypto. I'm talking any asset breaking those records. 3-year previous record, now doing it in just a matter of weeks. And you're concerned right now when price is giving you opportunity. Let's remember that. Now, continuing on here, I want you to just realize one of the things that I've been focused on since January of not this year, last year, when I started this channel, sharing all this with you. Throw one in chat if you remember this, if you were here. I've been talking about this global liquidity cycle, this big blue wave. This is what we want to surf. This big blue wave is money in the system. When money's in the system, then risk comes back to markets, because big money, smart money, and at least a cultured money. Maybe you're not smart money. Maybe you're not big money. You can be a cultured. You can understand the broader picture of what's going on in these markets. And when this global liquidity starts ticking up massively, that brings risk appetite back to markets, especially when you see the type of runaway money printing, which is partially what you're seeing in this global liquidity. But the absolute devaluation of the time you've spent. Do you realize that inflation doesn't just mean things cost more? It's literal theft of the time you've spent to earn that money. Because let's say you put in 100 hours and you earn X amount of dollars. You save that. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that time that you spent to save that money now has less purchasing power. Therefore, the governments that are printing this money are literally stealing the time that you've spent. That is why I look at these charts, looking at the global liquidity ticking up, and realize I'm not saving this in fiat. I am going to look at something like the hardest asset in the history of the world, Bitcoin, and figuring out how I can make sure that I'm preparing by stacking into my future outside of that corrupt system, stacking into something that has fixed supply, stacking into something that I can save the time that I spend and actually expand on the dollar value of what that means. That's what Bitcoin means to me. And when we see nation states coming in, and when we see central banks coming in, we see nation states coming in, we see the fact that this is just beginning. This is why Bitcoin, this is why I'm looking to ask, how can I protect my future? And not only protect it, expand the possibilities of what's present. That's what we're talking about right now. So when we look at this and we realize that the global liquidity is ticking up, and we see the Fed, the European Central Bank, People's Bank of China, Bank of Japan, Bank of, I guess, England. I don't know what RBA is, BOC, CBR, basically all these different major components of the global liquidity. And we see that we're just now breaking past this previous all-time high. And what we see when this ticks up, it tends to somehow line up. Shortly after the halving, we get that tick up. Shortly after the halving, we actually ticked up right at the halving. Took some time for Bitcoin to catch up, but then explosion. Took some time for look at this, started ticking up, explosion. This is just a steady burn to the upside, but remember, much smaller market cap back here, so it didn't take as much fuel for the fire to burn. Are you here for the fuel for the fire to burn? Meaning this asset getting pushed higher by the liquidity that's coming into this market. That's what we're here for. Everybody, make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, and you see down below, right below this video, if it says subscribed, you want to see the little bell on it, click on that bell, click those notifications on. And by the way, we still have a giveaway. It's going out. Tomorrow's the last day. We are drawing on the 16th. Another $100 giveaway, and that is for this tweet right here. I will post it in the live chat. Go to that tweet, retweet and like this tweet, and we will be randomly drawing a name from this. In order to win, you need to also head over to CoinW. The link is there in the tweet. It's also at the very top, pinned to the top of the live chat. I just want to let you know, I got word today from our partners over at CoinW. There's been a few of you that have made substantial deposits. And let me read this out. I'll tell you exactly, just so you guys realize. Anyone who deposits $3,000 or more, they are receiving a $1,000 bonus. This is your money to trade with in this system. Now, I'm not asking you guys to deposit that, but if you deposit $3,000, what is it? Yeah, $3,000, you get a $1,000 bonus. But if you just scroll this down, if you want access to our free trading and free training sessions that we're going to be doing here, you deposit minimum of $100, you get access, but you also get a bonus of $100. You deposit $200, you get a bonus of $200. So this is free money that you can get. You can come trade with us and get access to basically us holding your hand, doing these setups, taking the trades with you, looking at what you're doing, you looking at what I'm doing. Head over to this tweet. I just posted the link in there in the live chat. Retweet and sign up for CoinW. The link is there. Retweet this, sign up, and you're going to be entered to win an additional $100. So let's get that. If we can get 10 people to sign up by the end of the day tomorrow, 10 new people, we will extend this to allow people to get these bonuses further. So go in there, make some deposits, and you're going to get access to some really incredible content. Now, shout out to what's going on by Checkmate, one of my favorite on-chain analysts out there, driving a lot of the data. What we're seeing here is basically he just released a new Bitcoin metric at Check on Chain. If you go to checkonchain.com, this one develops Bollinger Bands, similar to what we see on the charts, based on the unrealized profit loss held by, this is important, the short-term holder cohort. It's ideal for hodlers looking to avoid FOMOing into rallies, but also to stack confidently during dips. So what we're looking at here is when things are getting overheated out of context of where that profit and loss is for short-term holders. It lets you know, for instance, here's the one view. This measurement down here is a measurement of when the price action is pushing outside of the band, showing you're getting a little overheated. What happened? Overheated, price went sideways until we came down and dipped below the band, which actually on a short-term time frame gave a great small time frame buy signal that you could have taken profit on, another buy signal, another buy signal. And we know what trend line is there that you could have taken advantage of to trade if you were trading that. What that would look like is this price action pushing down into the zone, which is where you just saw, where was it at? Which is where you just saw, see this first dip right here? Boom. That was this dip below the zone, gave a good buy signal. When you see this outlaid on the chart, what you see is boom, that was an area, and then coming up into the zone, maybe you didn't take profit there, but here, now we have an established trend line, boom, great opportunity to take profits on that, especially because we have bearish divergence coming into that. Great signal there. So just pay attention to these various signals as they come out, because they can add a wealth of information to your trading suite of indications and data that you're looking at. Remember, price is not a function of what makes your determination of buying or selling. Price is just a data point that you're going to look at in conjunction with strength, with moving averages, with what you're looking at in terms of a pattern structure, with what you're looking at in terms of a pattern, with what you're looking at in terms of a pattern structure on the chart for the asset you're looking at, in addition to where you're at in the terms of a trend of that asset that you're looking at. So when we're looking at what's going on here, I mean, we are still consolidating sideways. We're coming in. What are we at right now? Let's take this a little bit further. We're on the daily. We're one more day over. We're 117 days post halving. We're looking for this mark somewhere somewhere within this range. I would say September 12th to about October 19th. Within this range is going to be where I think we're going to start getting some really strong bullish action if we're not getting some major washout. Looking at this on the chart right here. So we're at 117 days. 160-ish days is what we're looking at because of the price action from the last cycles. This is the zone we're watching for strong bullish breakout. This doesn't mean price is here. I'm showing you the measurement from the halving to where the time basis of where this will happen. Now, again, I still think that it's very possible we're going to have an $83,000 or above Bitcoin by the end of September. So let's pay attention to that. What does that mean? Look at where price is now. There's could be a lot of different interaction of what happens between now and then. That would be, looking something like, coming up, rejecting, coming back, consolidating, now breaking out here like that, and then having the run. Breakout, retest, continuation. That's what we're looking for. Time basis, sentiment basis. The strength has been building since January 2023. The strength has been building since down here. This is where things got really interesting. Why? This is when, post BlackRock application for the spot ETF, the approval, the sell-off on the sell the rumor, and then boom, now we start getting huge buys from corporations, institutions, and individuals, and banks, and central banks. Everything. This is a bullish setup. This is a disbelief, kind of like, okay, let's kind of work through this. Also, institutions bringing that boat back so they can still hop on. Yeah. We are setting up for one of the most incredible bull markets in history. Right now, it just takes patience. Now, looking at this next chart right here, this is what we're talking about. Bitcoin accumulation trend score. Look how dark this is. Look how light this or yellow this is. Very dark here. One, that means there's accumulation. Very bright yellow here. That means distribution. Look at this, distribution down. Now, why was there accumulation here? Remember when this happened, 2021, the market cycle top, this essentially was when everybody was like, because we had the sell-off and the resurgence here, there were so many people that were still bent on the idea that we were going to $100,000 that cycle. So there was a lot of hype cycle buying there. Now, more specifically, what I really want to look, this is why you have to understand the nuance of what we're looking at. See all this accumulation here? See a little bit of accumulation, hype cycle buyer at the top, but then boom, this is where that sort of rotation of the smart money starting to take profits coming up into here, but they're taking profits as the hype cycle, the huge adoption wave that comes in once we break previous all-time high, when we start pushing up into the all-time high and then we break it, that's when you get the huge flood of new people coming in. So you have these strong accumulation scores and then distribution. Similarly, look, strong accumulation on the FTX sell-off. That marked the end of the bear market. Still, accumulation, smart money starts buying within the bear trend. Now look at all this accumulation, similar to what we're seeing here. Now, do I think we're going to have this short little truncated push to the upside? No, I think we're going to have a major explosion to the upside. I do, however, think that we will very likely, let's come over here to BTC. Let's do an empty chart, BTC, OKX. It's going to be empty. I do, however, think that let's do $100,000 is right here. Option J. Let's make this much brighter so you can see it. I do, however, think that the path to get here and beyond isn't going to be this. I don't think we're going to break this trend line right here and just blast straight through it. We very well could, but I think there's a much stronger likelihood. Let's move this over. Let's move it over a little faster. I think there's a much stronger likelihood that we're going to basically break out here, get a little bit of retest, a little bit of chop in here, and then a impulse up, a sell-off back down that's going to trick the life out of a lot of people, come back up, something like that. That is what I think is most likely on the path to the upside. Why? Because this is such a pivotal number for the history of Bitcoin up until now for a price to potentially break through this. Also, people like Max Kaiser, who's an absolute legend, And he's all about hodling. He said the first time he's ever going to, I think maybe he said sell, maybe he said consider selling, was $100,000 Bitcoin. I think this is going to be a psychological number that there will be some sell pressure at. Now, if we just blast through this, I'd be more than happy for this to blast through. And the alternate route there would be, some like this, a blast through, come back, retest, continuation. But we're going to have to take this step by step, remembering that global liquidity is ticking up, much like it did before the last run up. We got the accumulation lining up right now. We've got central banks literally getting Bitcoin exposure. We're getting record levels of appetite that's only going to increase over time, especially considering the fact that we have 330,000 registered investment advisors or investment advisors out there that can tap $100 trillion worth of wealth that are only now, just recently, in the last 2 weeks, starting to get the green light to push the products. They're not going to push them immediately. Most of these investment advisors have basically looked down on Bitcoin for the entirety of the life cycle of Bitcoin. Traditional finance is not fully acculturated yet on understanding what Bitcoin is. But the data cannot be ignored. The amount of buying pressure that's come in from major institutions. I think it's like 13 or 17 out of the top 25 hedge funds now have Bitcoin exposure. These data points, as these people really step out of the mainstream narrative that they've been listening to for the last 14 plus years, and they start looking at the data because they have a product to push that they can make commission on, this is literally going to give them incentive to understand the product. And then they're also going to realize it's a new product. So they're going to get probably some sort of level of heightened incentives or commissions. This is a wave that cannot be stopped. We need to understand that and stop worrying about a 1%, 3%, or even 20% pullback right now. Like we just had a 33% pullback from the previous all-time high at 74,000. This is all a consolidation before that next leg up. That's what I hope all of you understand and get through all of our heads. All of us are so thick to see long-term, but then fear short-term. How can you look long-term and fear short-term? It just doesn't make sense. You're not doing yourself a service to have one outlook that your goal was initially, but then you get trapped in the 15-minute time frames. Let's not do that. Now, coming back to what we want to talk about today. Okay, let's get into the charts. It's time to get into the charts. 1.25% returns on assets under management would be amazing, says Amy Lives Crypto. Shout out to Granny's Garden, Sawtooth Hiker. We got so many surgery size, too much manipulation. Bull run is over. You are out of your mind. You are out of your mind to think the bull run's over. I do think that there's going to be some contention on what happens within the traditional asset space, as well as what's happening with Bitcoin, with risk. Also going into the next 90 days, November 5th is an important date that's going to have some draw in some large impacts in decision-making around different things that may stimulate the economy. We have the FOMC meeting on September 17th and 18th. It might be 18th and 19th, but middle-ish of September, that will likely get some rate cuts. And there's a lot of speculation about what that means. We just had the PPI yesterday that came in a little lower than expected. We had the CPI, Consumer Price Index, that came in today that came in a little lower than expected. But there's markets are chopping. Markets are chopping is providing us all opportunity to make some money in this market with that that allocation of our portfolio, not our entire portfolio. That's why we're getting going on these live trading sessions over at CoinW. They've signed up. He's made these great bonuses for us. Remember, I know 2 or 3 people that have signed up through our link that deposited $3,000. They got a $1,000 reward. Okay. I mean, free money is where it's at when you're trading in this market. And also, if you deposit $100, you get access to these trading sessions that we're going to be doing. You get $100 free. Deposit $200, you get $200 free, so on and so forth. And beyond that, remember, if you retweet this tweet, I'm going to post it again in the live chat. Retweet this tweet, sign up for CoinW and retweet this tweet, and we will, you get another $100. You have a chance to win another $100 USDT. Retweet this. Boom. Now let's go ahead and look at these charts. Let's talk about what's going on. Accumulations there, but look at this. Patience is a virtue in life. If markets, in markets, it allows the setups to form. This is what people always jump at. They jump at trying to take the trade versus being patient to let the trade setup develop. Be ready for it when it's there, and then have a strategy in place to take action on that trade. And opportunity, basically waiting for the setup to form and the opportunity to present, not chasing the opportunity. Unfortunately, most people trigger fear and exit in the most opportune times. If you're exiting when you're scared, you're literally doing it the opposite way that you should. You are here to donate money to other people. In that case, just give us your money, because you're not going to do well in this market. Either be patient to hold, understand your time horizon, or realize that mass fear in a market is a great indication that there's probably a huge opportunity brewing. So when we look at this is altcoins from Milky Bull. It basically is outlining the Gaussian channel here. I'm getting a phone call right in the middle of my stream. But we can see, let me text him back. Well, I just so you guys know, I will say this. I don't like to draw empathy and all this because, but I'm trying to do a couple streams Thursday and Friday. They might be a little shorter. I did have my eldest cousin, who's roughly the same age as me, only a few years older, passed away on Saturday. And so I have got a ton of family coming in this weekend that's starting today and tomorrow and Saturday. And we have services are on Sunday. So trying to juggle everything and family and all that. So that's why I'm getting calls and stuff in this moment. Let me go ahead and text him back. I appreciate y'all's understanding on stream. Okay, now let's continue on. Now, life is a beautiful thing. Let it be a reminder to call the ones you love. If you got some reason you're not talking because they hurt your feelings or they didn't, let all that nonsense go. Love the people in your life. Give consideration to people when they are being an asshole or when they are being frustrating. Realize they're just looking for love in a way you're not giving it. Let's be more compassionate. Let's be more forgiving. And by the way, my cousin wasn't like that. My cousin was awesome. But just a reminder, life is precious. Let's give love to those around us and stay in touch with our friends and family so that we can be a part of their lives, right? Now, continuing on here, because I'm here with you all. I'm here for markets. I appreciate y'all's comments. I really do. I love you all. And I appreciate y'all being here on a daily basis. But looking at these markets, the Gaussian channel here, capitulation ending as it tested that Gaussian channel. Boom. See this? Breakout, tested basically accumulation right around the zone, and then the breakout. What do we got here? Breakout, basically testing the zone, accumulation before breakout. It's coming, folks, and only the patient ones reap the harvest. Yeah. Now I'm all discombobulated. Yeah, it's very sad. But also considering here what's going on with what are the background signals? We're talking about taking trades. What is the context we're looking at before we take those trades? Well, first off, the DXY, the DXY, the dollar index, the strength of the dollar. The Bitcoin and the dollar index are inversely correlated, okay? And so less pressure to reduce rate, dollar down, Bitcoin up. TA chart shows a breakdown from a support on DXY. This could send Bitcoin to another high level. What we're seeing here is you see how the Bitcoin is going down here, dollars going up. And you see here how Bitcoin's going up, dollars having trouble here as it works its way lower. Well, then we look right here. Dollar's been trending up into this zone. It's actually amazing that that this was how much buying pressure we had, that it broke that correlation for a short period of time. But then we had to sort of see that, pay the piper here and consolidate here a bit. If the dollar continues to break down from this level, this will be not only fuel for that fire, but remembering, where is it at? Did I already delete it? Yeah. Remembering that we are breaking out with the global liquidity and the dollar's weak, and we're at a position in the market cycle post halving like we have been all before consolidation sideways, consolidation sideways, consolidation sideways. Very short 2013, but then up about 150 days, 2016, then up about 163 days this last cycle, then up. We are 117 days in and we're being impatient. Let's let go of that. You short Bitcoin. It's literally that simple. Why do we try to read this? Jason Bourne. I don't agree with that, but I appreciate you. Thank you, Gurney's Garden. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, she was a beautiful woman. She's got a beautiful family. She was such a heart-centered person. It was very sad. She got, I think, like 4 months to live or something with a diagnosis about 2 years ago, and lived well beyond what they had outlined. So I'm very thankful we got that extra time with her. Yeah, it's just sad that she passed this last Saturday. But continuing on here, now we're getting into these signals, and then we're going to look at the charts and look for a couple setups. So ready to surge seems to be testing the stage for a significant upward move. What are we looking at? Downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. What we see is a breakout, confirmation, continuation. What we see, we got a fake out, but then here, this was just a breakout without that confirmation. And then we also see here, we're starting to get that little bit of breakout. I had this line drawn yesterday when we were looking at the charts. And what I want to pay attention to here is not just a formation, but also this sort of momentum that we can see illustrated in the MACD here on the crossover. Really see right here, this breakout, the crossover was not yet there. Kind of let you know that it may come back and test until we got the crossover. Boom. What do we get here? We got the crossover and we didn't need the basically come back for the retest. We're getting the crossover now. Is this just going to be a breakaway? Well, let's look at some more data. By the way, I do know a couple of you reached out to me. You've been conversing with me and signing up for affiliate links for stuff I've never heard about. Some of you are following a person that is not me. Make sure, every one of you, go to your Twitter right now. Make sure you're following this. This is the only version of me. My socials are always at Kelly Kellam. No one, no 3 L's. No. You can see it right next to my name right here. Kelly Kellam. Make sure you're following the correct person. You're conversing with the correct person. And we can make sure that we can help prevent you from getting scanned by the innumerable number of imposter accounts out there. Also, make sure you're following the one and only BitLab Academy, which is at Academy BitLab. No numbers, no spaces, no weird thing. At Academy BitLab. Just make sure you're following the correct people. Now, we don't need to look at liquidity today. I want to look at these setups. So let's get down here in the nitty gritty. Let's talk about it. Let's get down to the 1 hour chart. And I want you to notice something here. We're going to look, we know the macro setup because we've been outlining it for a great period of time. Now, we've got this support structure here. Okay. We've got this support structure here that Bitcoin is currently paying attention to. Now we also have this trend line right here where, look, we did get a little bit of a fake out. We've come back into this zone. Now, what are we seeing with the data? This is the first thing that I'm noticing right here. This is arcing. Okay. But we cannot discount the fact red, red, neutral, neutral, red, red, right? So there's some contentious signals right here. I'm on the 1 hour chart. Look at all the red that we see on the momentum wave right here. All these red bars, that means that there was a lot of selling pressure. So if we do look at the liquidity, what did we have before that happened? We had this sort of node here that we came down and flushed out. We flushed out this zone, and then now we flushed out this liquidity down. It feels like a bit like a liquidity grab. Now, it doesn't mean it can't go a little bit further, especially considering this VWAP is angled straight to the downside. But look, RSI came down, reset, starting to curve back over. The stochastics are starting to curve back over as well. Again, this is the this is the 1 hour chart. So what I'm watching for here is I'm not actually looking to take short positions because I feel like at any moment, this market could have that sort of face melting push on basically break out to the upside. If this does dip, I'm looking at this zone right here where we have this order block right below, which is 58 down to 57.5, which could be a great fake out into the zone. And then this breakout continuation to the upside. If we lose this zone, by the way, if I were to do that, what I'd be looking at is if the price came down into this level, I'd be looking at a zone like right in here, and I'd be holding my stop loss probably about 1%, just like that. And I'd be looking at this potentially coming back up and testing back up into this zone there. If this can hold this zone. Again, if this comes down and flushes out, gets stopped out, minimal loss, right? If this does break down and come a bit further down to the zone, I would almost be hesitant to enter a long in this zone because I think there would be probably a little bit deeper washout. What I'm really more interested on right now, because we're seeing some interesting movement, is looking at some of those coins that we have on the thumbnail. Looking at Avalanche. Avalanche, we talked about a bit of a kind of head and shoulders-y pattern, but let's kind of see what we're actually seeing here. We have a descending level of resistance. We've got this rising level of support, almost end up forming a symmetrical triangle, right? With a bit of a washout here to the downside. So what I'm watching for here is if this flushes not just a break of this line. We're on the 1 hour chart, mind you. I'm talking about if this comes down and breaks below this and has any sort of move to the upside that fails and starts coming down, I would be taking, well, again, I don't want to take shorts. If you are a short taker, you could take a short on this and target somewhere down into the zone. But again, what I'd more importantly be watching is if this does come down like this and has any sort of failed move like that, I'd be looking for the move to come down here to take an opportunity there, to take an opportunity there. I think this is going to be much more likely than this, but it's going to depend on all these different policy discussions. Can you imagine if Kamala Harris or President Trump, former President Trump, mentioned something like this? That would be an immediate pump, regardless of what the market is doing. Now, when we're seeing this setup, how do we contend with which direction it's going? Well, looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, I do see the stochastics are rolling over. The RSI broke down, comes up. It's looking weak here. This is looking like it's setting up at minimum to come down and test this sort of region right in here. So I'm watching this region for potential bounce. And if it fails there, then we look for the opportunity to buy lower. It doesn't hurt to have a dream buy order set somewhere in this 19 to basically low 20s to $19 range and having somewhat of a dream buy order down here in this $18 range. Link, they're all going to be very similar. See how this trend line, I'm feeling, this is my gut telling me this, I'm feeling like the market is setting up to set up a bear trap, which means a little bit of weakness is showing here to get people, as soon as this breaks down and fails, to get people committed short to basically come back in and do something like this. What I'm really watching for is opportunities to have a stop limit order or a limit order in the order books. If you have a stop limit order, nobody can see it in the order books. Can't be hunted. If you have a limit order, it's in the order books. People can see that trade that's entered in the system. Basically getting a limit order set in this region, maybe another one down here in this $9 region. Remember, you guys did not think when we were looking at this, when the price action was up here and we started talking about potential down here at the $9 region, maybe all the way down into 7. And it kind of split the difference, came right here into 820s, low 8s. So when we're looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, I do think that there is a setup on all these altcoins we're looking at, because they all look relatively the same. Bit of a washout before I move to the upside. Now, one of them that doesn't look the same is DAG. DAG has been in this sort of, I don't even understand why, because this is one of my favorite altcoins of this cycle, which is this, sort of downtrend falling wedge that's come down and basically tapped this sort of region. And the lows are currently holding. The lows are currently holding in this zone right here. I do think that if there was a further washout, anything in this region would be an absolute great thing to have a stop limit order or a limit order. And none of this is financial advice. This is strategy advice, just so you know. Coming down here in the 1.7 to 1.8 sort of zone. But I'm not even sure if that's going to come, because when you see what's going on in this market, where is that? Somewhere here. Did I delete it? Here, right here. No. Dang it. Hold on a second. Boom. I posted it right here. So I said this altcoin is providing data security at military grade levels and is available to retail also. Their proof of concept was with the U.S. Air Force, with the Department of Defense, the International Space Station, U.S. Transcom. They're doing incredible stuff, and they're stepping into something called Iron Spider, which is, an absolute next level data security and transaction and transfer. I don't want to call it an upgrade, but utility of the Constellation DAG. And there's so much information on this. We're going to have Dagnum PI come on here again, because they're making so many great developments here. In fact, Iron Spider, this is one of the things from Constellation DAG. One of the co-founders just met with the Undersecretary of Defense for the U.S., Office of the Undersecretary of Defense. So when I'm seeing that and I see this asset trading down with people not really paying attention, and they have the $100,000 hackathon going on right now with over 520 different projects being built on it, and the awareness that people are starting to understand what's going on with the metagraphs and how much of a leap forward they are beyond what smart contracts can do. It's a whole next evolution of it. And this is why when I'm seeing these prices right here, this is why I've been DCAing into this. And I've been sharing this with you in the BitLab Kelly Alpha channel in the BitLab Discord. So anything right here, this is looking like it may be setting up to try and break to the upside. Watch for this. If you notice, let me see on the BitLab volume, see this red box right there? It's kind of hard to see because of, let me make this a little bit more opaque so you can see that. Boom. See this box right here? There's an order block. So if this price action comes up, I'm expecting a little bit of resistance at 21971. Basically 2.2 cents right in the zone. If this can clear up into the zone, the setup I'd be watching for isn't this trade. It's this trade here with a little bit of a hesitation here and the re-break of this level. That's what I'd be watching for an excellent opportunity in the zone. Because look at this. From this zone right here to this zone right here, momentum waves, bullish divergence. We got the stochastics bottomed and started angled up. We got bullish, bullish, neutral, neutral, bullish, bullish. So the setup is starting to really brew here. This is on the 6-hour chart. Let's get back down to that 1-hour chart and see what is going on here with smaller time frame signals. Let's clear up some of this. So similar like what we're seeing on all those other altcoins with those sort of kind of rising wedge patterns. This is a bit of a pennant that's angled to the downside, suggesting this consolidation will more likely have a break to the upside. Now there is a negative money flow. However, what do you see? This is what I want to see if I'm looking for a setup to occur or to brew into something that's actionable. This roundingness showing the bearish narrative of money coming out, switching to a neutral, switching to getting more bullish. And we also have this with a much higher low on the momentum wave with the VWAP angled straight up. We're getting some signals here that maybe this is finding a local bottom. And so what we want to do, be a little patient, a break out of this, retest of this, and continuation to the upside. Another one is fetch. See, this is looking like a lot of the other ones that we were looking at before. DOT is actually kind of rotating to the downside. We'll get into that one in a second. Let me put this under fetch. Fetch here. We have a bit of a trend line there, a bit of a trend line there, a bit of a trend. There we go. Bit of a symmetrical triangle. You can also look at this as kind of a sort of rising channel there. But we have these two different levels we're watching. If this can clear out of this, what we really want to see is a break above this 94 cent zone, likely hit its head up here on this 98 cents, come back down. But as it stands right now, what do we see? Remember what we just talked about with the money flow? what do we see on the money flow? Money flow is coming down. It's starting to come back up, a little back down, but then it's trending to the upside. Now, what do we see here with the VWAP? It's still staying above the zero line. We want to see this round out if we're considering an upward move. Stochastics looking a little weak, RSI looking a little weak. So this is not ready for the move. We want to watch a break of this level at 92 cents or a break below this 85 cents. I wouldn't necessarily bother trading a bounce here and then because this could still do a lot. I'd be waiting for the break below this to, get that scoop up a little lower, or more importantly, the break out of this retest and continuation to the upside. That's what I'd be looking for on Fetch. We talked about DOT next. Yeah. So DOT's kind of rolling over here. Now DOT is, I've been talking about this for some time. The level of activity that absolutely skyrocketed recently on DOT is phenomenal. And I forgot. I realized I didn't send this thing earlier. Retweet that tweet in the live chat and make sure you sign up for CoinW because remember, some of you guys have signed up, deposited $3,000. You're going to be getting $1,000 bonus, but you can do something as little as $100 and you'll get a $100 bonus. And if you retweet this tweet and sign up for CoinW, you also are entered to win another $100 USDT that I'll send directly to you. Just wanted to, because I forgot to post that in the live chat. So I'm just reminding you all now. And look at this. Only 13 of you are participating, wanting that free money. And you have to do this by the 15th or this deal is expiring. So get involved. DOT is kind of rotating over a little bit, but the bullishness that I see in what they're doing on the development side, the fact that I went to Decoded, their basically developers event with so many different parachains discussing what they're working on to build out their ecosystem. The fact that this is having some weakness right now makes me happy because this means I might get an opportunity if this does roll over a little bit down here into the $4.19 or even another opportunity down here at like $3.84. I would be scooping that up. That would be a position trade going into, into 2025. Now, in terms of a trade, as it stands right now, I would be waiting for this, honestly, to basically push its way up, not only above this, but break through this zone right here. The break of this zone, any reversal after that and continuation, that would be the trade. And I do think, again, Polkadot's can be doing some excellent things in this market. MakerDAO also just had some great news. I think what was it? Was it Grayscale? I think Grayscale, yeah. But look at this downtrend, resistance, fake out, break right back down. Now this is a little concerning because on this sort of time frame, what we're seeing is, kind of this rising wedge. Let's get down to the 1 hour and look at it. Okay. Well, where are we having trouble right now? We're having trouble right at this trend line that we previously had rejections at. So what we really want to see is look at that order block directly above us on the BitLab trading stack, which you can get on that link you see right next to my face over there. It says BitLab 15 days free for the access to the Discord, lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. That's also like 30+% off for the life of your account. When you sign up for that Discord, the second after you have an opportunity to also add the BitLab trading stack, which is a significantly discounted also, which has this BitLab volume, the BitLab trend fuel, as well as the BitLab intelligence here. Look at this, calling this perfectly. Bullish signal, bullish divergences, launch. Bearish signal, having some weakness here. But look, it's trying to maintain its bullishness, sitting here on top of the weekly VWAP in the order block that we're looking at. We have an order block. Look at this. We're ping-ponging between these. So what I'm watching for Maker is a break above this zone right here, which is 2128, 2130 range. But that's just a start. That if it gets rejected here, that's a lower high. It's likely coming down to test 2010 or so. If this can break above this and this level here, 2163, we still have this order block to contend with. So what I'm actually calling for is a little bit of patience, a push up into this zone. push up here, find support, a little bit of chop, and the breakout of this range right here. That's what I'm looking for MakerDAO to start having confidence in it coming in. But we do have positive money flow there. So a little bit of a change of pace for some of the things we've seen. Arrow looking very similar like what we just saw on DOT, kind of rounding out. This is where I think these bear traps are starting to brew. Why bear traps? Because this is saying there might be a downward move. So what if we get that move and it reverses up and comes something like that? Be very cautious right now on shorting. Look for opportunities. If this does break down, look for signs of a reversal, small push to the upside, a higher low, and a continuation of the upside. We're getting to the end of this consolidation phase and this resetting phase and this trap phase in this market. Okay, I've reposted it. I'll be signing up and activating an account today as long as I can only use my phone. Still need to. You could use your phone. It's no KYC. It's USA friendly, no VPN, no KYC. I recommend with anything I do online. We got a special guest in the house. I recommend with anything I do online to use a VPN. But yeah, CoinW, go and sign up. Take advantage of that. We got people signing up, depositing that $3,000 and also getting $1,000 bonus. But I'm not asking you guys to do that. You can put in $100, and with that $100, you get a bonus of $100 that you get to trade, and you get free access to some of the live trading sessions that we're going to do. So make sure you go and sign up. The link is at the pinned comment in the top of the description. It's also on this tweet right here. Again, if we get 10 people between today and the end of tomorrow to sign up, new people, then we will maybe extend this and give some more people opportunity for these great bonuses. Now, I was not planning on doing this, and I love that he just popped in here. He's my boy. He's my main man. He's the guy. We got Mr. Matthew Holland.
What's up, everyone?
How you doing, Home Skillet?
What's up, man? I thought I'd surprise you. I saw you doing the live stream, so I was like, I'll just see if I could click the link and see if it works, and it worked. So here I am.
I'm happy you're here. So how you doing?
Yep.
It's bull market's over. Somebody said in my comments earlier. Are we selling everything?
Nah, not yet. There's still way more. There's lines in the sands that we have to still respect. I see Bitcoin is pulling back today a little bit. It's kind of, I guess, still in this area. I believe, let me zoom in a little bit. I think I had this more or less charted out. We're kind of in between this range. I think Kelly was just discussing this. I haven't really looked at the charts too much today. It wouldn't really surprise me if we look at like this weekly time frame. I think we discussed this the other day, to see a retest of this area down at around 56.3K. Perhaps potentially anything's possible. But I have drawn this out. I did post this on Twitter last night. I think this type of path over the next month and a half or 2 months heading into the election makes the most sense. It's just a continuation of this consolidation. I think we're just going to continue to be kind of boring. You're going to see people calling for a huge breakout. You're going to see people calling for a crash. But I think we'll just do this for a little longer, just based on history. We saw this in 2012, 2016, 2020, and even last year in 2023. So it's just been on the same path. I think the best thing for most people is just to keep your expectations tempered. I think we will see excitement return in this market at some point, but right now it is a little boring. If we go to others is alts outside the top 10, seeing a nice bounce this week. So even though today we're kind of feeling a little bit down, this is actually a green weekly candle. We're finding support right here. So we want to see this area hold. If we end up losing this area down at around 173 billion and close the weekly below it, then I do think this is a head and shoulders breakdown, but would not be confirmed until we actually had a confirmation. So I'm still leaning on the side that this was likely the bottom. This was capitulation. We saw just everything sell off about a week and a half ago, pretty strong. I'm not sure if you addressed this, Kelly, but I think on the last CPI, I had looked at this a few days ago because I knew the CPI reading was coming in today. I think it was on this date right here. Would it be Thursday or Wednesday? It's usually on a Wednesday. So it would have been on this candle right here. I believe it was July 10th. You could double check that. We kind of saw we had a good CPI reading. We saw 2 days of sell off. It looks like, but then after that we moved up. So I wouldn't be surprised if something similar plays out if I go to the stock market. So I haven't looked at I'm really just like fresh with the charts today. I have not really looked at too much. So with the stock market, we're seeing more green upward. I want to see at this point if I go. Let me see to the weekly time frame. Um, I'm not sure where this would if this were to pull back. I'd say maybe around this 55 6.8 level would be where a pullback could potentially occur. But this really, to me, looks like the stock market's probably going to push back up to all-time highs off this. It looks like it wants to, in my opinion. This is like some resistance right here. So if the stock market continues up like it is today, as it was for the past few days, I think Bitcoin will probably follow. Obviously, Bitcoin hasn't broken to new all-time highs like the stock market has, or even gold has recently. So Bitcoin and especially the cryptos are still lagging behind the markets. But overall, usually they end up catching up. And even when like Bitcoin, I think back in January, I believe it was kind of decoupling where Bitcoin was making a run and the stock market wasn't doing anything. And everyone was like, hey, there's a coupling. The stock market ended up catching up, and now the stock market's a little bit ahead. But I think Bitcoin will eventually catch up in time. When you zoom out on the day to day, it doesn't look like it, but when you zoom out, it usually ends up translating overall.
I mean, I love it. I'm glad you came in here with that dropping in the alpha. And by the way, until this interview link changes, you can pop in anytime. I'll throw you in. I got to twist your arm though, because I do have two things on the thumbnail that I have not done yet, and the stream is coming to a close. Can you look at the 3-day chart on? I want to do Cardano and Solana, and then also like a 4-hour chart as well.
So Cardano, you want?
Yeah.
I'll do that, and then I'll add Solana.
Shout out to John Smith for making sure that we do what's on the thumbnail. I appreciate you, buddy.
Okay, so we'll go to Cardano. Let me see. You said 3-day chart?
Yeah.
So I kind of had this charted from a while back.
It fallen wedge, man. I love it.
Yeah, Cardano. Let me see. For the 3-day time frame, I would say today this is more where this area. Let me make like a little box real fast. This whole area is kind of resistance. I'd say between 45 cents and around 43. Whenever Cardano does clear this, it'll probably make a push. I would assume if it clears this resistance area, I would assume it'd push up back to these highs later on. And the interesting thing about Cardano is I know there's a lot of bearish sentiment or negative sentiment around it. But if you look, Bitcoin broke its all-time high in December of 2020. So if you look at Cardano was 15 cents at that time, and it was still down essentially 80% or 90%. Its all-time high at that point was $1.40. Cardano was about 15 cents. But then what happened after? You saw it push from 15 cents all the way up to around $3. So this was just a massive move. And right now, Cardano is down about around the same 80-90% from its all-time high. So it's sitting actually in a similar position as it was when Bitcoin back in 2020 and ended up doing very well. So I don't think, just despite the overall sentiment, I don't think it means that Cardano is doomed or anything like that. I think it will get a push at some point, a run like this. Maybe it gets back up a little past these highs. I'm not entirely sure. It just depends on separate factors, but I do think Cardano will get a move up and probably will outperform Bitcoin at some point over the next year.
Remember last cycle, there's a period where everybody's saying it's a stable coin, it's not moving, and then it did like 17. I can't even remember. It was like 20x or something.
It was absurd. Actually, I had put in. I bought actually like at this time in March of 2020 when it was like 2 or 3 cents. I actually put like $150 in there at that time. Ended up riding it up up here. So it was 100x at one point. Ended up selling it at some point down here. So I sold it for a profit. Didn't hit the 100x, unfortunately. But yeah, I remember all the sentiment. I remember like when they did the update. That was, I think, in August. I think it was around this time. It pushed. It was the Shelly update, I believe it was in August of 2020. It had this push up leading into this, then a sell off, and around this time, people were saying that it's a stable coin, it's boring, it's not doing anything, and then it just ran, and it ran hard. And
You
then
know,
at
it's
some point,
funny
like,
that exact point you just pointed out where people were saying that was right after it did from the V-shaped recovery. It just did like a multi-X push up into that consolidation too. It's like, it's stable. Motherfucker, it just did however many X. It's just wild. What are you seeing on Solana?
but before I mention Solana, I'll say too, like a lot of this too, a lot of people like don't remember, but I remember it because I was actually like holding the Cardano at the time. There was like at one point like no one cared about Cardano, and then suddenly like there was like, I think it was in around this time frame, like February, January, like all this Cardano hype just started building like massively, and all like the eyes, like people were like looking for layer one chains because other layer one chains had already moved, like I think BNB at that point. Then it all suddenly focused on Cardano. So something like that can happen. A lot of this market is very cyclical, where there's a lot of focus on certain coins like Solana right now or for the past 6 months, but then it moves around, and then when it's on one coin, the hype and momentum is just very strong. So if I were to look at Solana, so Solana's, this is a 3-day time frame. I think Solana is still doing. It's just been in this consolidation zone, similar to how Bitcoin has been in consolidation. Um, I would say it is interesting that Bitcoin, for example, had a breakdown. Well, Solana kind of had a breakdown here. I think Solana will continue to do well over the rest of the cycle. I just wonder if there's going to be another test of these lows. It has done very well, and I was discussing on my Twitter back down here in October and through the summer last year at these prices. So I was super bullish on Solana down here, and I like the coin and how it's done since then. I would say it's in a consolidation. I think it'll just end up following Bitcoin ultimately. So whenever Bitcoin breaks out, I think Solana will make a push toward all-time highs. And then from there, we'll see how it plays out. It just depends on like how much, I guess, hype like the meme stuff gets again, if a lot of money, because a lot of it was meme driven. A lot of this was people buying Solana to buy the meme coins. So if the meme coin hype returns, then I think we might see another leg like this. If it doesn't, then I still think it'll end up doing well alongside Bitcoin. If you look at Sol BTC, which is the Sol Solana Bitcoin ratio, this has essentially, I'm going to remove that. That was drawn earlier. Let me see. This far outperformed Bitcoin. So really, you want to see this hold against Bitcoin right here, this 0.0019 level. It's just I'm not 100% sure how this will end up playing out, and I'll show you a quick comparison to ETH BTC from last cycle. So Solana, just for reference, this was the all-time high against Bitcoin, went through the bear market, pushed up, and has been consolidating. But if you look at this against like what Bitcoin did, right? You could argue that this is what Solana just did. Solana got back to almost these highs, but it didn't make these highs. Like it looks very. I'm trying to like put this side by side. You know, I'll just do it like this. This might be the easiest way to do it. ETH BTC. What the hell? What time weekly? Okay. So if you look at this, doesn't this kind of look similar, in which like Bitcoin last cycle, Ethereum made this push up like how Solana did, but it didn't reach the all-time highs. And now a lot of people I know are expecting, or they believe Solana will make a push toward all-time highs. But I think it's just difficult, especially with Solana being a larger coin and the market space required, and just the dilution of the token. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Kelly? Do you think Solana will push up to all time highs, or will it do what Ethereum did and not get there yet or ever?
You mean, well, on the BTC ratio, it's really hard to judge right now how altcoins in general are going to perform compared to Bitcoin, because if there is a flood, for instance, like the 330,000 investment advisors, if all of a sudden a lot of them start getting Bitcoin, or at least realizing there's profit to be made to push that $100 trillion worth of assets that they're managing into buying the Bitcoin spot ETF, that's going to be huge buying pressure. And we may see Bitcoin completely run away from altcoins this cycle. That is a possibility. However, on the flip side, the price levels and the lack of understanding in the crypto market does still create a ripe opportunity for a huge amount of upside in altcoins. I still think altcoins are going to perform well. If I had to guess out of
Well, I would say, like, I mean, this isn't like saying Solana would go down in USD prices. I mean, Solana could, I think, will do well in USD price. It'll probably get up to 300, 400, 500. I just wonder if this is, it's a lot of coins typically, I mean, actually, like, really, like 99.99% of coins, usually whenever they reach their high in the first cycle against Bitcoin, they never get back up there, let alone break it again. I think Doge did it last cycle, in which it put in a new high against Bitcoin. But usually most coins just don't do that. You see them put their high in, and then most of them just typically trend down. The stronger ones like Solana, like Ethereum, then had their second run. But I don't know if Ethereum will get back to that high from back in 2017. And I don't know. It's just a tall task, I would say. I know a lot of people are super bullish on Sol. And maybe it does happen. I just can't. I don't have enough conviction. But this doesn't mean it won't do good in USD price, regardless. Like in terms of USD price, it will probably go up. So, regardless of how this plays out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I appreciate you popping in here. A nice little gift at the end of the stream there. Everybody, if you're not following Matthew, you can follow him at, I think it's HotBoy67 at. No, I'm just joking. I'm pulling it up right now. You can find him here at Matthew Highland _ 2 T's, one underscore. Make sure you give him a follow. He drops alpha all day long, every day. Yeah.
I have the SUI chart pulled up. I don't know if you want to just cover it for like a minute. We discussed this last time, but we had drawn this out where maybe it got up to this range and then pulled back. So it's now in support, but this is also where the breakout occurred. So keep an eye on SUI, see what it does here. Maybe this might be a good spot to accumulate, enter. It just depends if this breaks down right here around 89 cents. But sitting right in support after a breakout. So it's retesting a breakout.
I love it. I appreciate you dropping the alpha. And everybody, remember, we love you. We appreciate you. We're here to make sure that we can build a strong community of people that are getting real data in the market, not just some, like, I don't need to push any coin or project. It's like there's enough data out there that I hope everybody, more than anything, just acts on healthy data. And you don't just get it from me. Get it from Matthew. Get it from Kevin Svensson. Get it from Frankie Candles, CryptoFace.
Caleb Franzen.
Yeah, one of my favorite in the space. But we got to wrap it out because we got to send everybody over to the DJ and Alpha show with Taco. Matthew, I appreciate you popping on, and I'll chat with you probably a little bit more this afternoon. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Hit that like button. Make sure you're following Mr. Matthew Highland, the main man himself. And again, remember that giveaway is going to be not giveaway, the those extra bonuses and everything at CoinW. It's on my wall. It's also pinned up in the top of the live chat there. Sign up while you can and get that. I mean, you can always sign up, but sign up while you can get that extra bonus. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. That's all we got for today. Adios.